How's it going, everybody? I'm going to start the process of removing and painting this valve cover. I got a new seal for it, a new gasket, because this one looks like it's seeping. But in the process, I'm going to go ahead and prepare this and shoot some color on it. I've got a couple different colors in mind. I think I've settled on one particular color, but I guess you'll have to wait and see. So I'll go ahead and take this thing off and get started. Right, the valve cover's off. Timing belt is definitely older, but it is not in as bad a shape as I would have expected. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up and start the process. I'm just removing the old valve cover, and I want to stress this is not a tutorial. There are plenty of videos online how to do that. I'm just showing you what I'm doing with this car, so don't get all upset if this isn't a step-by-step, because that is not the intention. Anyway, you can see here's the old valve cover. You can see it's been seeping around there just a little bit, not a lot. So it's a good thing that it's being replaced. And I've got the new one right here. It's purple, which is fine, you won't see it. So I'm going to go ahead and peel this off, and I'm going to get rid of this old one. I'm going to clean this up and get it ready for paint, which the paint probably won't be today, it'll probably be tomorrow, but I can get it cleaned up and ready to go. Well, here I am at my illustrious paint booth, and I'm going to go ahead and give this, well, first of all, this has been super cleaned. I cleaned this many times with degreaser, soap and water, and it's been in the sun getting all nice and warm. So I'm going to give it a coat of this self-etching primer since it's bare metal, and once that dries, then I will do a coat of wrinkle coat on it. And from there, I may leave it black or I may paint it a color. Haven't decided yet. Okay, so the primer has had plenty of time to dry, and what I'm going to do now is take this out to the sun. I'm going to spray it with this Rust-Oleum wrinkle finish. This is the same finish that I use on the Prelude's valve cover. Now, technically, this is not rated for heat. Well, I guess it is 400 degrees. Not sure about the primer, but I've actually had zero issue on either the Wrangler or the Prelude with any of the paint coming off or otherwise failing due to the engine heat. So, I mean, even if for some reason this does, it's super simple to just go ahead and repair it or redo it. So, what you need to do is you need to spray the wrinkle coat, and then it takes a while to go ahead and cure and then wrinkle in the sun, but it comes out nice and uniform. And once that's done, I'm going to decide what I want to do as far as a top coat of color. So I've got a couple different options, and I'm going to go ahead and figure out what I'm going to do as this is drying. Okay, this has been in the sun for a while. Can's nice and warm. So is the metal on this. I'm going to go ahead and give it a coat of this wrinkle finish. I'm going to not film this because it's too hard to do with one hand and holding the camera with the other. Got one nice coat done, and this stuff sprays out kind of gloopy and sloppy, but it does wrinkle very nicely. When I first used this with the Prelude, I was a little discouraged at first, but I left it alone and came back and it dried perfectly. So I assume probably within the next hour or two this thing will be all nice and dry and looking really good. Can't wait to see it. While I'm letting the valve cover dry, I picked up 4 new spark plugs. These are the NGK, just the copper series. I guess they would have been just standard equipment for this car. I'm going to change the plugs because I have no idea how old those are. I look down the hole and I can see there's oil in there, so the valve cover gasket was definitely leaking. And here's the first plug out of the hole, just covered in oil. A lot of oil sitting inside that well right there, so I'll go ahead and get these out and clean it up the best I can and put the new plugs in. There you can see all 4 plugs are out. You can see how coated in oil these things are. So it's definitely time for a valve cover gasket. I just did a second coat on that and it looks really good, but it's pretty shiny. I'm definitely not looking for a gloss. I think I'll just let it cure out here in the sun a little longer, and I'm probably going to do a top color coat, but I do like it black, but not black like that, so I would probably do like a satin or a matte finish over it. But it's definitely a big improvement over the raw, nasty, stained aluminum cover, that's for sure. So now that I got the plugs replaced, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the mating surface and get that ready for the new gasket, which probably won't be going on till tomorrow once that is done and dry with its final color. So I guess stay tuned for more. Just real quick, I wanted to show the mating surface. It's actually really clean. I've wiped it off already. I noticed that in the corners it did have gasket maker installed, so whoever put this valve cover gasket on many years ago did the job correctly. It just seems like it just kind of failed, just kind of got brittle, and for whatever reason, I don't want to say dried out because it was soaked in oil, but just stopped doing its job. So it was definitely, I guess what I'm trying to say is there is definitely a shelf life for wearable parts like this. So this is a good project, doesn't cost very much money, and it'll keep the engine bay nice and clean. Okay, here's a progress video. I started to paint this thing white over the wrinkle coat, and I don't like it. So I'm going to go ahead and do one final coat of wrinkle black over top and let that cure, and then I plan on coloring in the Mazda and the top letters there and numbers. So I think I just like this thing black. Yeah, black it is. Well, now that this is dry, I'm going to go ahead and outline, or I should say not outline, but I'm going to paint the letters and numbers on here. So I've got this blue paint, which I think is going to look good. Just a little splash of blue. If I don't like it, I'll do it in red, but I think I really am going to like that blue. So then when I'm done with the whole thing, I might spray like a matte clear coat over top, depending upon how it looks in the sun. So this is going to be a little nerve-wracking trying to get it all in there, but I'm going to do a really good job. Well, this mangled mess is drying. You 1.8 guys don't know how easy you have it with the raised lettering, but I wanted to get the inside and the walls of everything, so there's some slop on the outside. I gotta wait till this dries, then I'll just go around with some black and touch it up, and you won't be able to tell the difference. That's really about the only way you can do this. It's too tough to tape off, and I'm sure this is something that everybody goes through, but overall it doesn't look bad. Like I said, there's just a lot of bleed over, but can't do anything until that dries. But once it's dry, I'll go ahead and finish it, and tomorrow, like I said, I'll most likely spray some matte clear on top just to maybe get a little more protection and tone it down to see how it looks in the morning. Painstaking is the word for this, but that's how it's done. The black around it just needs to dry like the rest. Then it'll look great. And here is the finished product. I decided to stay with black, the black wrinkle coat with the blue features, and I'm very happy. I like red, but red just didn't work for me on a red car, and it seemed like any other color I painted that it would have just stuck out. And this way it looks clean and it matches, it doesn't jump out at you, and it looks factory. Quite honestly, with the wrinkle coat, I did lightly spray a coat of the matte clear over top just to kind of give it a more uniform appearance, and I'm actually very happy with that. It's not showy, but it's definitely clean. It just has a hint of custom with the blue. Everything's all back together, and I don't expect any leaks. Everything went back together perfectly. Replaced the plugs. The wires still look like they're in really good shape, so I'm not going to bother with those. But just generally a nice clean appearance.
Oh, come on, damn it! Oh, that sounds good.